Ladies and gentlemen, guess what I had to register? All because Lemon's living up to her name. So I think now something's actually wrong and I'm gonna have to do something about it. So yeah, today we're playing with Lemon. Ladies and gentlemen, Noob's going to come off the road. As soon as the Land Cruiser is out the shed, I'll do the rear windscreen seal and brakes and all that. This is going to be my daily for the next few months. Nick Minute, why won't you fucking start?
Oh fuck, I can't believe you've done this.
I just went to Sprints and got a bunch of things. So got the well, oil filter and oil, air filter, fuel filter, the injector seals and little filters that go in the injectors, just like a kit to do all four. I'm going to be taking the injectors out and cleaning them, and the dude, he's a wizard, the guy that recommended this stuff, so I trust what he says. But he said, put this in the ultrasonic cleaner, watered down, and it will clean the injectors really well. And yeah, I do think he knows his shit. He's the one who made me all the fuel lines and stuff that I was getting done for Noob during the build. So he saved my ass a lot, and he's very knowledgeable. So I trust what he says using that stuff. And of course, spark plugs. So I'll be changing all this over today, and hopefully it cold starts better. If not, it might be fuel pump, it might be a sensor too, so I'm going to swap out a sensor and see if that works. But yeah, I'm just going to be fiddling with Lemon today. Couldn't work out how to get those little filters out in there, but doing this works. Get the drill bit to bite until the filter turns, until it bites. And so these were in the ultrasonic cleaner for an hour, and the paint started coming off. They look super clean now, but I can't just leave them like this. So I think I'm going to just get all this paint off, chuck them in for another hour, and then give them a lick of paint. And then your O-ring, like that. It goes on there, but we won't do that just yet. We'll tape this up ready for paint. Alright, while we wait for the paint to dry, I think I'll just move on to spark plugs. Spark plugs done. New filter in. Alright, time to chuck these in. Are you fucking kidding me? You're actually kidding me. Please don't tell me that fucking went in the oil. Me, Mr. Big Brain, left the tub of oil from doing the oil change under the motor that I'm working on.
You're a fucking idiot!
Unbelievable. Moment of truth, folks. Is she going to cold start alright? Oh, nearly forgot this. Now will she cold start alright? Double check there's no fuel leaks. All the injectors look all good. They're like the shiniest part on this car now. Let's give it a go. Well, that's not fucking good. It seems she's still got issues. That's super annoying after all that effort. Good morning, everyone. And a very frosty morning it is. Tried starting this after replacing everything and it was still the same old problem. It ran great. I drove it around the block and it just ran really well. It hasn't run that well for a long time. So I think it was overdue for a service. But still not cold starting. So one thing I wanted to try was run power directly from the starter solenoid up to the injector's positive side there, to see if powering it like that will actually work, because that will still technically keep that sensor in circuit, so it should only fire when it's cold still. So I mean, if it starts on a frosty day like today, then this method obviously works. Okay, let the fuel pump prime a bit. This is first start early morning. That was pretty good for a start this cold, honestly. Alright, we've got some road base down here now, which is nice. It's much nicer to work on than mud. And we've diagnosed the problem, which is the sensor to tell the cold start injector to fire isn't getting any power. So I've run a positive from the starter solenoid up to here, so that way when it's cranking, the injector gets power, which also goes to the sensor, and the sensor switches the earth to earth it out and make it fire while the motor's cold, or while the coolant is cold. So pretty much going to make a more permanent solution to this than just having this hanging here. So I'm thinking of cutting the wire, soldering a new wire on, having it follow the factory loom all the way out down to there and solder onto there. It's going to be a pain in the ass to do, but I'm going to do it that way. It'll be a bit neater. Trying to get under there with the soldering iron without burning myself is going to be fun though. Unbolted the starter motor loom here, just so I had a little bit more working room. And you can see I don't know if you can see actually, but I've essentially T-pieced in here, soldered another cable in which runs with the loom down here, and it's this up here. So now I'm going to run this with the loom in under here and just hook it up into the black wire inside the loom here. That'll be a more permanent solution. So it just comes up here, follows this loom under the plenum, up here, taps into the black wire that goes to the cold start. So that way the cold start's getting power and the sensor down here will now earth that out when the coolant is cold. Well, now that that's all done, I guess we'll give it a crack. See how it cold starts. Let's see. Make sure it's not in gear. Look at that. Look at that. Straight away. Bloody awesome. She started up straight away. I'm pretty happy with that. That was definitely the issue. Yeah, awesome. She's running really well, considering it's freezing cold out here. The only thing we have to sort is the exhaust. You can hear that ticking really loud. There's a mad exhaust leak. And that's because when we built this thing, the exhaust was literally just half Corona, half Celica. And we smashed the Celica exhaust into the Corona exhaust with a big hammer. And that was it. Thus concludes the cold start issue. She's all good now. She's all good now. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that. Well, pretty happy with that. That's all sorted now. I mean, it doesn't look the greatest. Doesn't look great at all, but it works. It works, and that's all I needed was it to cold start, because I got sick of pulling this off and spraying Aerostart up it every morning. There you have it. We fixed the cold start issue. If you ever have a similar issue, check that power is actually getting to the injector and the sensor. Don't do what I did and just assume that everything there is okay, and then you fork out for everything else. But at least it runs sweet now. It needed a service anyway, so. But there you go, folks. I think that'll do for this episode. Gonna have to start driving this thing again. Alright, catch us later.